On the court, I know a good pick when I see one. And at Fareway, every pick is fresh. Straight from the cart to your kitchen. Fareway, your home court advantage.
Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Reaction Time. I'm Jacqueline Cordova, joined by my co-host Ben Visser, presented by our friends at Fareway. Hey Ben.
Hello.
How are you?
Doing well. How are you?
Good. We have been sitting in the studio just, spitballing, so
yeah.
Don't mind me just giggling my way into the intro.
And it was definitely the first time we recorded this intro. We definitely did not have two takes before this.
Yeah, third take's a charm. Am I right, Aiden? Wrestling's officially back in Hilton.
We're back.
I'm excited.
They looked good that first weekend.
Yeah. I think it's going to be interesting to see who goes out there, right? Like, who do we get to see in action? And then two, some of these guys have never wrestled in these environments.
Right.
So I'm excited to see how the team really handles, like, the first big show of the season. That's what I'm excited for, is just seeing how they respond.
Yeah.
To all the lights and the robes and the fans, all the fun stuff.
Yeah, and it's going to be levels to this because you start off with the Cyclone Invitational, which is a tournament, open tournament, and they're usually not that well attended. So they get that. They're in Hilton, but they're not in Hilton, if you know what I mean. And then you get Nebraska Kearney, which I'm sure it'll be pretty well attended, just given that it's the first dual meet of the season. But it is a Division II program. And then you get Iowa.
Yeah, talk about hitting the ground.
So there's a steep learning curve to what Hilton Coliseum is for a lot of these new guys, which there are a lot of new faces on the team. So it'll be interesting to see how they respond this weekend, and then especially in a couple weeks from now when they take on Iowa.
Well, I just think it's crazy that we're getting Iowa. I mean, it's pretty consistent, right? Like, for the most part, we've done, Thanksgiving weekend or that first weekend in December.
Yep.
But I just feel like I wasn't mentally prepared myself.
Yep.
But I'm pumped. But like we said, Nebraska
Kearney
Yep. is the first opponent this weekend. And in typical Kevin Dresser fashion, he is so good at finding ways, or really, let me take that back. Dresser did say that the head coach for UNK reached out to him about this matchup. And so let me read you guys the connections of how Nebraska Kearney, did I say that right?
Yep.
Kearney, is connected to Iowa State, right? And again, it's really the bread and butter of Kevin Dresser. All of those non-conference duels they've had over the years he's always found a way to make a Cyclone connection, which I will give him major props for, because it really is, that's how you grow the sport. You have to make people care, right? You have to find those connections. And so for this team, their head coach, Dalton Jensen, wrestled for the Cyclones for 2 seasons before he eventually transferred to UNK. For his junior season, a Missouri Valley, Iowa native, Jensen was a 2010 NCAA qualifier for the Cyclones.
Yep.
And then you look at his head assistant coach, Andrew Sorensen. He is a 2-time national qualifier for Iowa State. He compiled a 93-31 career record, and he was a 2-time Big 12 Conference place winner, taking 3rd in 2010 and 2nd in 2012. Shout out to Andy.
Yeah, SID.
SID for Iowa State Wrestling. He put that all together, so I didn't have to do the digging. But then the other fun nugget was that Derek St. John, current Iowa State assistant, Derek wrestled Sorensen at the 2009-10 Harold Nichols Cyclone Open, and Sorensen beat St. John 7-5.
There you go. Beat a future national champ.
Yeah. So again, fun little homecoming for them. And I always love the story of from being a guy on the mat to now you're the guy in the coach's corner.
Yeah.
I always find that like poetic.
Yeah. Essentially 2 of those in a row because Wisconsin was the big name at the Cyclone Invitational, and Chris Bono obviously falls in that category. So back-to-back weeks where you got former Cyclones in the opposing corner.
I know. And Coach Bono just got inducted into the Hall of Fame.
Yes, he did. The Iowa State Hall of Fame.
Big fan. I'm a big fan of his.
Chris Bono's the best.
I know you're a huge fan of him because
Yes,
you
I am.
guys,
We go way back.
I was going to say, you guys have a long-running relationship there.
Yeah.
But truly, I feel like my relationship with him grew just because of Twitter.
Yeah.
Like just following him and always showing support for his program and what he's doing at Wisconsin. And he was just very complimentary when I talked to him during that induction weekend. So they are a D2 program, and Dresser had a lot of really good things to say about the med availability this week. If you haven't, you can find that video on our YouTube. It's also on our front page. But he basically was just like, it's easy to overlook teams when you get them in these scenarios, right? Early in the season, it's your non-conference. So you're thinking, oh, this will be a piece of cake. But like when it comes to D2, I mean, literally these guys are ranked number 5, number 4. You have the number 1 guy at 197, the number 2 guy at heavyweight. So like, yes, they're D2, but how many D2 guys have we seen climb the ranks to D1 and just be absolute monsters?
Yeah.
So, and Dresser put it really, like I said, he put it really well. And when he kind of went into his explanation of the team of, it's funny because he like said, he's like, this is their Super Bowl, you know? And I really, and genuinely, when Dresser was talking about them, he was very much like, these are not guys that my team should be second guessing. And they're not guys that are coming here to just get their butts kicked.
Yep.
I'm like, are you coming there? You know, and he's not wrong. Like for teams like this is your measuring stick, right? You're going into a program who's top 10, was ranked top 5, has brought home a team trophy. So this is their true opportunity to really gauge themselves. Yep. And in wrestling, we know like you have to.
Yeah.
You have to take advantage of this because you won't feel it again.
Right.
Or quite feel it. I don't want to sound like I'm crapping on D2 wrestlers, but so I think it will be interesting to see how the guys show up, right? Like, do you show up 110% ready, or do you turn into the guy who maybe wasn't as taking it quite as seriously as you would if you're going against Iowa, and then you get caught up by the guy who's trying to throw you on your back and get the upset.
Yep.
So I posted the probables on that front page story that has the full interviews from media availability this week. But it looks like we're getting from 125 to 285. We're going to see Steve O'Poulin.
Nice.
Carter Pearson. So Evan Frost. Not quite ready.
Yep. I think that's fair.
Yep. And it's when you look at it, when we talk about the Cyhawk being on November 30th, right? Like, you might as well just let him keep focusing on his weight cut, keep getting strong, keep staying healthy.
Yep.
Just don't. Better to sit him out at this point. And then at 141, well, I guess I should take that back because he did list Evan as an or.
At 141?
Yeah. So I'm curious, but I'm going to guess Anthony Echemendia.
I would guess that as well.
And then 149, you have Pinheiro. 157, Vinny Zerban or Jacob Frost. Sounds like Vinny may have gotten just like a little bit of a ding.
Okay.
So I think someone mentioned an elbow. But I kind of hope it is Vinny Zerban. I really want to see him in a match. I'm just so intrigued by his existence. So
the hair.
It is. Excuse me. And then you have Connor Euton at 165, who we'll talk more about in a second. And then you got MJ Gaitan, Isaac Dean, CJ Carter at 197. Rocky pretty much laid it out there. Yep. After he left, someone was like, should he have told us that? Because Coach had kind of like hinted at it, but then Rocky was like, yeah, I'm probably not wrestling this weekend. And that's not because he's hurt. He's older.
Yep, older, load management.
Yep, his body's just changed. He has to protect it. And it's just better to make sure to keep him healthy, get in your best shape for the Cyhawk.
Yep.
And I prefer that as well.
Yes.
And then, of course, younger Bastida at heavyweight. So how are you feeling when you hear that potential starting lineup?
Very interested in the Jacob Frost at 157 scenario. I'm with you. I want Vinny Zerban to wrestle. But if he is dinged up, Jacob Frost was at 141 last year. Bumping up 2 weight classes to here. His twin brother's trying to get down to 133.
Right.
So that's a 25-pound weight difference, 24-pound weight difference right there. So I'd just be curious to see what he looked like at 157. Obviously, I want Vinny Zerban to wrestle. Very excited to see Steve O'Poulin in action. He obviously did not wrestle at the Iowa State or Cyclone Invitational. So we saw a lot of him at Northern Colorado, right? They're in the Big 12 in wrestling. So Jacqueline and I have seen him throughout the years, but what's it look like in an Iowa State singlet? Very excited for that. And then just, anytime I can get more Connor Euton in my life, I think I'm going to take it. The dude, he won me over in the Cyhawk duel last year, wrestling with a torn ACL, wrestling really well with a torn ACL. And then obviously he had a phenomenal Cyclone Invitational. So anytime I can see Connor Euton, I think I'm going to be excited.
So in the Cyclone Invitational, he went 3-0. He had a fall and 2 tech falls.
Yeah.
And I mean, he was just a beast. My God, I can't speak words today. He had 13 takedowns and he allowed 0.
Yeah.
So he is insane. And Coach made a funny comment about him this week where he was like, he does really well in the training room, but we got to keep him out of there for like a bit. And Connor even kind of hinted at just like his love for the weight room. So I think that just comes from a place of wanting to make sure we protect his body and don't overdo it. And before we get into Connor Euton, because we did get to talk to him at availability, or I should say I did, Ben was not there.
No, probably won't be there many times this season, unfortunately.
But no, I agree that it is interesting to envision Jacob at 157, but like the few times, I think I saw them once or twice this summer, I mean, they're huge.
Yeah.
And so I would be curious to see what he would look like if he did weigh in at 157. And I mean, Dresser poked fun at, the whole rhetoric of like, yes, Evans, he said, let me back up. He did say Evans had the best 2 weeks. He said he's looked great.
Good.
He like made a joke about he just really loves like eating or going to the dining center or something. And I just truly wonder, like, at what point do we have to accept that maybe Evan just cannot be at 133?
Yeah.
Hopefully
we don't have to accept that this season. Hopefully that's a next season acceptance.
Valid. Which, I mean, we had that conversation about David Carr, right? Like, I remember the season before he went up to 157.
165.
Sorry, 165. We had known that this jump was coming, right?
Yep.
So I just wonder. But I think as far as the Cyclone Invitational, the only thing I'll bring up before we move on to Connor Euton was Dresser's comment about Younger. Younger had a good weekend himself, but I wouldn't say he had a tough matchup, but I would say that Braxton Amos from Wisconsin gave him a good challenge, right? Gave him a good fight. And Dresser was very complimentary of him, just that, Braxton's been around for a while. He's a tough kid. And he had over 30 pounds on Younger. So that was kind of like the big thing that probably kind of made it more difficult for Younger. But again, Dresser, I thought, gave some really good insight. And basically the quote he gave us was, he outweighed us by probably 30 pounds, and so we made some technical mistakes. But Younger's toughness, heart, and his shape is what won that match. I think that's exciting for us to know that he's winning matches with his shape right now this early in the season, which you're right. It is good to know that his conditioning, his workouts, and all of that is enough to go in and still make sure that he can do something like secure a win.
Yeah.
over a guy who's 30 pounds heavier than him.
And we've seen Younger in the past where his shape, he's always been a physical monster. But we've seen in the past where he's almost gassed himself out in the first and second period because he's trying to tech fall him. And then in the third period, he's just not hanging on for dear life, but his pace has slowed significantly. So it's very good to see and hear that his shape is in really good shape.
That does sound kind of weird. Yes, I agree. And it's good too, just being that he's always been, what is it, like around that 235 weight. It's good to know that whatever he is doing, it's working. His conditioning is in a good place.
Yes.
So that makes me excited. And I'm excited when he gets put in a situation where he has a tougher opponent. Iowa.
Yes.
So,
Ben Keeter, who I think Younger will outweigh him.
He will. But then it's like flip the script, right? Because then Keeter has just a gas tank on him.
Yep.
So, but we'll get into that another time.
Got a couple weeks until then.
But so the fun part is Connor Euton is back. He's healthy. As you mentioned, he was out last season because he had that torn ACL. Well, I thought what Dresser had to say about him was really interesting. And he said, Connor's an all-star in the training room. Unfortunately, he's been in there too much, so we've got to keep him out of there. His rehab, according to their athletic trainer, Tim Wiesner, shout out. I think he won an award.
I think he did.
That.
Yes, he did. Yeah.
Has given like great feedback. And this was what I found interesting was he said, Connor, if you know Connor at all, he's the most blue collar kid we've got on our team. You always try to label which guy is your hardest working guy. And he might be one of the hardest working guys we've got in the program right now. And like, he kind of just talked about how like coming out of high school, Connor wasn't, like David Carr or Rocky Elam, but he really cares and he works really hard. And so, he's made himself significant. And then they bring in Connor, and he's just like this really goofy guy. And I don't know if Aiden has it ready to go, but like, just listen to this interview when I let him know that, 2 years in a row, you're being picked as the guy we need to watch by your own teammates. And I got a little bold and I said, why do you think they keep picking you? And this is his answer. Please listen.
Just raw sex appeal. No, I'm just kidding. I don't know. I try to come in and do what I'm supposed to do what I'm asked, and I try not to complain a whole bunch. And I guess maybe some of the guys see that and they like that sort of thing. I try to bring a good energy, and I try to bring a level of discipline. And I've always been a leader of leading by example. I've never really been a huge outspoken leader. Well, as far as in the weight room, I'm super outspoken in the weight room. I love lifting weights, but in other workouts and things, I'm more of a lead by example, and maybe some of the guys are seeing that and picking it up.
How does it feel to know that they all named you?
Oh, that's pretty cool. That definitely gives me some fuel. I try not to let my head get too big. I just try to brush it off and stay humble. But it is very cool that they're acknowledging me. And I'll tell you what, I could rattle off about 20 guys that I would feel the same way towards them on this team. So pretty cool.
I feel like he has no ego in this space and keeps it all on the mat. Because obviously on that Cyhawk match, he was trying to tear his head off.
Looks like a normal dude.
Yes.
Talks like a normal dude.
Yes. And it was funny. You would have found this so funny. He walked into the room and he needed to tie his shoes before he spoke to us. And he like asked us how we were doing and was like trying to pick up a full conversation with us. And then he asked, does anyone want a hand fight? And like everyone just stared at him because we have Xander and then we have two kids. I shouldn't call them kids. They're probably not that much younger. But we have 2 reporters from the Daily who I've never met them before, and I'm not sure how familiar, like, I don't know their history with wrestling.
Yep.
Like, Connor's just like, yeah, who wants a hand fight?
So as a former Daily reporter, they probably don't have a lot of history with wrestling.
Well, it was Andy that was kind of like, I'll hand fight you.
Well, and Andy wrestled in high school, so that's good for Andy. I'll let him do that one.
So, no, and it was fun. It was fun to see his humor, as you guys saw his, I can't remember the first word he says, but the sex appeal comment.
Sex appeal.
I thought was really funny, and I just find it very wholesome to see guys' reaction to hearing that their teammates think so highly of them. And so that's where my thoughts kind of in that moment, I was like, oh, his ego is purely in that moment of competition. And I love that.
Yeah.
I think that just shows like, that reflects really like the culture, right? What is happening in the room. And so I'm very excited to see him in action. And he might say he leads by example, but he seems to me as someone who may be more of a natural leader than he thinks if people are naming him.
Yep.
So I think he's going to be a fun one. I think he's like your guy to watch.
Yep. And he has such a contrasting, I would say so, a contrasting style to Mikey Caliendo from Iowa. And I think that's, I'm just so excited for that match. I don't know that Connor Euton gets it, and I'm getting ahead of myself. I know that. But I'm just so excited for that match just to see if Connor Euton can push him, and just keep hand fighting him and just see what happens in that match. Because I don't know that he wins, but I think that's going to be a lot closer match than I think I was expecting, and probably a lot of the nation would be expecting.
Well, and I think that's kind of Dresser's style, right? Going into Iowa, it's like throwing off their very clean, what's the word? Not consistent, and not really even reliable, predictable.
Yeah.
And it's not a bad predictable, because clearly Iowa has been very, very successful. But like Dresser has been very good at the changes he makes to his lineup in those types of duels. It's because he's throwing in the funkiness. He's throwing in those guys that are unpredictable, that can throw off guys who kind of stick to the same formula. And I don't know, I'm excited.
We'll see.
You know who I feel like has been kind of quiet, and I'm kind of surprised by that? MJ Guyton.
Yeah, he's flown under the radar a little bit.
I feel like we haven't really talked about him. He's been pretty chill when we've been around the room, and he was a very prominent person for us last season.
The whole last year we talked about him a whole bunch.
Yeah.
I think we expected him to take a big step forward, and he sort of didn't. Now, he won the Cyclone Open. 8 out of the 10 winners of the Cyclone Open were Iowa Staters, so really good result, and he was one of them. I think he won by Tech, Major, and Major. But you're right, he is absolutely flying under the radar right now. And I think he and the staff are both waiting for the right moment. And his whole thing this last year was he needs to be more technically sound. We know he can pin people. We know he can go big. But he can't let people get to his legs, which is what happened all the time last year. So it's just going to be interesting. I think we'll see a little bit more in Nebraska Kearney. What does he look like? How does he present himself on the mat? And then obviously the big test, Patrick Kennedy at Iowa. So MJ Guyton, I think, is going to be, he is under the radar right now. I think that's a fair place for him to be. Definitely one to watch as the season progresses, because at one point Dresser was saying like, this guy's got potential, like national championship competing level potential. So it's just how does Iowa State untap that to show what he can do? So yeah, no, MJ Guyton definitely under the radar right now.
Well, and I remember at Media Day, Dresser kind of mentioned the way that when the transfer stuff kind of started happening, he said, I can't remember the exact quote or the exact verbiage, but I swear he had mentioned like how he was surprised that some of his guys were sharing those announcements, and had feelings about it. And I feel like Pinheiro and MJ were the two guys that were kind of very outspoken,
They
like,
were.
we're committed, we're not going anywhere,
Yep.
and kind of held that standard, right, of like, we're not going anywhere.
Yeah, you guys can go. We'll be right here.
Yep. So I am excited for him. I am a big fan of guys who are unpredictable and
Oh yeah,
just all over the
It's
place
always fun.
and give me high blood pressure. And I love those type of guys. So I am curious to see, how cleaned up is his technique, and his presence has been really chill. So
Cali boy.
I think about him every time I hear that song, California Love. Every time I do. I start to associate these guys with their walkout songs.
Yeah.
So I guess there's a fun little non-Matt related thing. Let's see what these guys' walkout songs
that too.
are.
Yep.
So I guess the one last thing that I would say was really cool from Media Day was when we talked to Rocky Elam. I asked him about just like, the tradition of Iowa State and how exciting it is to be here, what's he looking forward to the most? And he gave such a great answer. Your typical, billboard answer you want to hear from your guys. And this is what he said. He said, I was really looking forward to being at Iowa State when I first committed. And this is coming from a guy who truly had zero intentions of ever transferring. He said, thinking about the tradition, the robes we get to wear, and all the great athletes who have come through this university and done so well. I've even had coaches who wrestled here. I trained under Kevin Jackson for a year or two at the Olympic Training Center. So that's in Colorado, for those of you who don't know. And now I get to wrestle under Coach Dresser, who's a great athlete from Iowa, just state of Iowa.
Yeah.
We won't talk about his singlet.
No.
He said there's just so much tradition here. And then he kind of went on to talk about, Nate Carr, who's with the Cyclone Regional Training Center, and just how much history there is. And so my favorite part of what he shared with me was he said his high school coach reached out to him and said the Iowa State tradition is very rich and you have an opportunity to be part of that. And Rocky Elam said that he took that to heart, and it made him really think I want to live up to that. I want to be in that history book.
Yeah.
And I just thought that was really wholesome. And I think it's also a moment for me as just we get to cover this program and we get to cover the state. And just the fact that, these guys, people like Isaac Dean have not competed in front of these crowds.
No.
And remove March out of it. Remove all the tournaments in December. In their normal duels, they do not wrestle in front of what?
Thousands.
Yeah, I can't even think of a number of what those schools outside of Iowa average. But even watching Arizona State, that became such a powerhouse, even their crowds weren't very big.
No.
Because wrestling outside of Iowa is just not the same.
No.
So I there are moments where I'm like, oh, I'm actually very lucky to cover wrestling in a state where people are so invested, they care so deeply. Casual fans are way more likely to tune in. And so I think that's exciting. The emotional side of me is excited for them, excited for the Vinnie Zurbans and the Isaac Deans and, Steve-O, who's just been so talented in his career to get an opportunity to wrestle in a normal duel in front of a really big, lively crowd.
Yeah.
So
I'm excited for the casual Iowa State wrestling fans to see Rocky Elam.
Oh my gosh,
They
I know.
might remember him from the Younger Bastida matches 2-3 years ago. But he is number 2 in the country. He's an incredibly good wrestler, and he does have a legitimate shot at being a part of Iowa State history.
Yeah, he
Number
he
1
can
right now
be.
is Josh Barr of Penn State, who's a sophomore, and is beatable. So, Rocky Elam has a real shot at the national championship here.
Yes.
And that is very exciting.
Yes. Yeah, I don't think we're even truly emphasizing enough just the level of talent Rocky is.
Yep.
And he's been a lot of fun to watch.
Yep.
So I mean,
he's not a boring wrestler.
no, not at all. I mean, he wrestled younger, and I mean, they had a great thing going, and I think it'll be good.
It will be.
Like when we talk about just like truly, when you want to get way far ahead, yeah, Rocky Elam is one I'm not worried about as long as he continues to stay healthy and train in the way that he knows will be best for his body. And the staff is very on board to accommodate that and help him.
Yeah, if he's healthy in March, he'll go a long way.
Should be a good season.
It should be.
I'm very excited. I'm excited to just see, like, Friday for me is going to be very much like that gut check, right? Like, how am I feeling? How do these guys look? How do they look in a live match that's not their teammate and not a tournament? So, that's it. That's all I got here. I'm just excited.
Yeah, which when you listen to this will be today. We'll be there today.
We'll be there tonight. So yes, as we said, Iowa State returns to Hilton, 7 p.m.
Yeah.
There's probably still time to buy your tickets if you want to go.
I know for a fact there is.
So, yes, Iowa State, Nebraska, Kearney. How do you say their mascot? Lopers?
Lopers. I think it is short for antelope.
Oh, interesting.
Yep.
All right. Kyvan Gatson will be on ESPN Plus.
Nice.
Shout out.
Always good to listen to.
And as always, you can listen to Joe Sinclair and Ryan and Nate Carr on the Varsity app, which will be great. And I'll be doing my best to tweet all the updates in the world as much as I can.
Yep.
I have a new lens that's really wide.
Oh, there you go.
I'm pumped. I'm pumped. So should be a good time.
Yeah.
Let's go see what these Cyclones can do.
Yeah. Go 10-0.
Yep. And as always, shout out to Fareway. We wouldn't be here to talk about wrestling if it wasn't for their support of not only the sport, because they're huge supporters of just college wrestling and Iowa State wrestling, the Cyclone Fanatic.
Yeah. Look at that, Fairway Frank.
Oh.
Shout out Fairway Frank.
I love it. Well, as always, guys, thanks so much for listening. We will be back next week. It's going to be a fun week. Well, I don't even know what the calendar is, but the next time we sit down to record, we're talking Cyhawk.
We're talking Cyhawk.
So, yeah, thanks for listening, guys.